who used to be Gracie Strawberry, Gracie Stone Bear. Way too many bears. My boyfriend is also a bear. Well, bear is a bear on multiple levels, so it works. Yes, go into it. I enjoy your rants. I'm glad somebody does. So, the orcs in 40k are descendants of this race called the Quarks, who were in the War in Heaven. Basically, if you know any Necron lore, the Necrons were dying because their planet gave them super cancer, and then they tried to get the immortality from these ones called the Old Ones, and they were like the most advanced race of all time type thing, and the Old Ones beat the Necrons back super. At the time, they were called Necron tier, and they weren't robots. So they beat them back super easy, and then the Necron tier made a pact with these star gods, and the star gods went, "Yeah, I'll help you out. Step into this thing." And so then they stepped in this thing. The souls got extracted from all the Necron tier. They got turned into robots, and all the star gods got big and fat off of all the souls. And so then the the star gods used the Necron tier and went to go fight the old ones. The old ones went, "Shit, we're losing," and they made the Eldar and the Quarks. Eventually, the Eldar and the Quarks got a little too much free will, and they flipped on the old ones and started fighting amongst each other, and blah blah blah. Anyway, so that was way back then. The Quarks. The Quarks were like 12 feet tall, and they were actually intelligent, but they slowly devolved into orcs now. Orcs are so stupid because of their power of belief. If they were smart, their power of belief thing, like, red things go faster. They believe it works that way, so it works that way. If they were smart, they actually wouldn't be as powerful. The orcs say, "We will have no problem with fishing today, so we will be fine." Yep, no, we'll be fine. We'll be fine. So blah blah blah. Orcs' power of belief, they get dumb. It's been later coming out in some of the recent books, which are very good books. I can recommend them. Where because orcs value size in a fight, they value numbers and size. They also believe that the bigger the orc, the smarter that orc is. And so there's a story that takes place from an orc's main perspective, and he's what's called a knob, which is like a big orc. He's the orc leader, not the war boss, but the orc leader. And he eventually goes to a Dark Eldar planet, and the Dark Eldar imprison him and amp him up full of juices to make him bigger and stronger. And while this is happening to him, he keeps getting smarter because orcs believe that the bigger the orc, the smarter it is. Which is why Ghazghul is actually not intelligent for an orc, he's just straight up intelligent. Another cool thing about Ghazghul, who is the biggest orc, is he's so big and smart, he doesn't have the power of belief to a certain sense. And he actually gets depressed and bored of fighting, which orcs don't do. But it's because if all orcs were of that intelligence, which would be average intelligence, because Ghazghul isn't the smartest being in the universe, but he's smart for an orc, and a pretty much base value human intelligence, but also really great strategist. It's confusing. If every orc was like that, they wouldn't be as strong because their power of belief wouldn't work. Does that kind of make sense? Plus, with me, if and when we fish, you guys still have energy. We'll be brig fighting, big fishing, unstoppable. True. So yeah, we'll be definitely doing a brig. Then I gotta show off my cool Halloween brig. All right, let's get painting Gretchen. Oh, this brush is stiff. Why? Don't do that, brush. No, I really love the orcs because they're definitely the comedic relief of the 40k universe, but still, an orc invasion is like an apocalyptic event. It's so brutal for everybody that aren't an orc. Orcs are funny things. They're living funguses. Yes. It's so strange and so interesting. Did I finish the Party Rats accommodation ship yet? Not yet. We're getting close, but not yet. The main ones could take the longest to do is using a boat, like the mini boat. What are they called? Anyway, the mini boat to with a cannon, no less, to shoot another ship 25 times. Rowboat, thank you. Duh. Rowboat, duh. If they wanted to, they could just say mankind don't exist if enough orcs believed. Yes, but then they wouldn't have anyone to fight. And as much as it's memed on, the power of belief isn't as strong as people think. Like, the whole like, a lot of people think it's like if one orc believes something, it happens. It's not. It has to be hundreds on thousands of orcs to believe something. But because every orc believes that if you paint something red, it goes faster, then it works. If it was only 100 believing that, it would not really work. Got a very polarizing question. This is also for you, Chef. Do carry on, Bear. Carry on. Oh, sorry. I wasn't saying that you didn't know that, Outcasts. I was just yapping. It bothers me if people get that wrong sometimes. Curious what you guys think of pineapple. I'm kind of allergic to pineapple. And I know everybody's allergic to pineapple. I'm more allergic to pineapple. And it makes my lips all itchy, and no. Would a planet worth of orcs do the trick? Yes. To those orcs. Just those orcs. If there was a planet of orcs that believed you paint something red, it would go faster, it would. But if there's another planet 2 blocks down full of orcs and they didn't believe that, their red things wouldn't go faster. It would only apply to the orcs that are seeing the red thing. Does that kind of make sense? It's on orc to orc basis, but because every orc in the galaxy believes painted red goes faster, it works universally. But it's because orcs don't really think about things that aren't in their immediate line of sight. They don't have to worry about it. And, well, to a certain degree. Orcs are weird, and you have to truly explain the power of belief, I'd have to dedicate a whole stream. But there is, like, a theory, I'm sure you've heard it, Outcast, that the Emperor is only alive because orcs believe it to be so. And there's also a theory that the Commissar Yarrick, who was, like, the Gazgul's nemesis and, like, the biggest, baddest human, the orcs all respected him. Even though a lot of orcs had never met him, because of these stories, they all believed it to be true. So that's why Yarrick was such a badass and why he was able to use an orc arm and he had laser eye and shit like that. And it was very common for Yarrick to just walk up and one-shot orcs because he was so small and they were surprised at how small he was. So orcs would just stand there and look at Yarrick in disbelief before they would just then, get killed by him. It's all wishy-washy. A lot of 40k is wishy-washy because a lot of 40k lore is supposed to actually be headcanons and people inserting their own lore. That's why there's only 18 Primarchs instead of 20. Which is its own conversation, but... So that's why a lot of the lore, it can be retconned so easily and why people get confused in certain parts of the lore. And it's... Games Workshop was very smart in their writing the lore, that they made the narrator 40k like an unreliable narrator, so they can kind of double back and do whatever they want. If someone says, well, in this book, this thing happened this way, but in this one it didn't, they can just go, one of them is wrong, And it's where that saying you've probably heard, everything's canon, but not everything's true, comes from. I think I passed my 15-minute rest break. All loves and support, buddy. Then don't, Bear. Quit your job. Quit your job. Do it. No balls. Thanks for hanging out, Bear. Hopefully we'll see you later. So nothing is true, but everything is permitted. What the saying, everything is true, but not everything is canon means, is that because so much of the lore is supposed to be up to interpretation and able for you to take and make your own thing. Like when my dad got into 40k, he started with the Space Marine Army, and he made his own Space Marine chapter called the Thunderbolts. Obviously, they're on the lore, but he had his own idea of what they were, and they'd go on big battles against his buddies, And the idea of everything is canon, but not everything is true, is that his faction, the Thunderbolt Space Marines, were part of the canon, but it might not have been true. You know, if the Thunderbolts showed up in a book and like they could be in passing, they could say the Thunderbolts were there, or there are no records on the Thunderbolts, or blah blah, so on and so forth. It's a way of them making a story and then also allowing you to kind of put your own spin on the stories and to add your own things and to do your own things with it, if that kind of makes sense. I was trying to get my one Assassin's Creed reference in for the first time. I don't know enough. I don't know enough about Assassin's Creed. If that's what you were trying to go for, my apologies for completely just ranting over your joke. I don't know anything about Assassin's Creed, though. We've been over this. Whoa, excuse me. Time for some motherfucking faces. It's so weird to me that this model's almost finished. It's kind of crazy to me. Been working on it for so long. All right. The most important thing to remember, and Twix, I hope you're still here, is that faces and bases are kind of the only things people notice on 40K models. So any of you who are new to painting, make sure your base looks badass, and make sure your faces look badass. And then the rest of the model will kind of just bleed out, you know? And the other thing to remember is, if you're not happy with something on a model, remember on the tabletop, when you'll be using it, you are standing 3 feet above it and looking at buildings and a bunch of other models. As long as it's painted and has the 3 color rule, your model's going to look great. Your model will look great, you know? It took me so long to get back into painting, and now I'm really kicking myself for just kind of starting again, you know? I used to paint a lot when I was a kid. I just don't anymore, but... A bad painted army looks better than an army with no paint. Remember that. Write that down if you have to. Just coming up through with a much lighter green and adding just kind of a few lines to the model. Really kind of make it pop without putting in a whole lot of effort or extra color that's completely unnecessary. As soon as I get this arm and his back done, the model is finished. Which is crazy to think about, but it is nice finishing a project finally. It sucks the highlighting process is the easiest and fastest process because it is by far the most fun. Oh, this isn't the last thing I need to do. Last thing I need to do is wash the teeth. Then we're done. But that's literally like 2 strokes of a brush. It won't take a second. Beautiful. Let's go and paint up those bullets on his arm real quick so they're not also green. Pokemon theme song. I got you, Twix. Pokemon. All right. Only a month and having to do the model basically twice. We're done. Is the light working? Yes, it is. That actually does look decent on camera. I'm very happy with it. I will put the mud on the tires another time because I think that would just be annoying to do on stream because it's also going to be very messy. So I will mud the tires up another day. But yeah, we're done. Yippee! All right, new project time. Let me go get my new models. Oof. All right. Our new models. These are called... I heard something. These are called zoanthropes. If you played Space Marine 2, will know and hate these guys. They're extremely good on the tabletop right now, and I run a very interesting build using them and another HQ model, or commander model. We're going to start out with one of the basic ones, so I kind of get my flow down when I get to the big one. So obviously he needs to look the best. Whoop, he fell over. He fell over again. There we go. All right. We've got this handy dandy tool here. I wasn't thinking about that. It's way too tall. All right, we're not going to use our handy dandy tool. This is also nicer because it's smaller and doesn't have so many little weird ridges and bumps. You guys will actually be able to see the whole model while I'm painting, which is a plus for everybody. Gotta get out my Warpstone Glow, the best green paint out there. It's really good for salamanders. It's really good for orcs. In my case, Tyranids. Aren't too many green Tyranid players out there, which is a shame because Tyranids look really good with the good green and black, which is the color scheme I'll be doing. I'm using a bigger brush to try and get as much green as humanly possible on the model, as quick as possible. As quick as fast. We'll just assembly line these bitches. This is not a good... Well, can this brush be fixed? No, it's like a flat tip. It will work for what we're doing, though. If you guys are just slathering a bunch of paint, I'd highly recommend using just bad brushes. No need to mess up any good brushes for something as dumb as slapping on paint onto a model. Color scheme we're going for with our Tyranids here is a green for the skin. Green is one of the easiest colors to paint in my humblest of opinions. And we're also going to be going with a black for the carapace and purple for all the interior fleshy bits, or in these guys' cases, they have these open brains. We'll be painting that purple. Alright, I gotta adjust the camera a little bit so it's a little bit higher. Because I am learning I really do want the, that's much better. Yep, much better. That looks great. Yeah, this ring light / magnifying glass thing I got going on here is an absolute godsend.